Alright guys, today we have the Asus ROG Ally, and this is a new setup. I have the overhead camera setup, so let me know what you guys think of the new desk and everything, but we're going to get right into the unboxing. This is a handheld I've been waiting to get my hands on for a very long time now, and on the back we actually have the specs here. This is the RC71L edition. We have, I'll see if I can bring this up closer. We have 512 gigabytes of storage. You have the AMD Z1 Extreme processor, and other than that, it has a 4-cell 40-watt-hour battery. But let's get straight into the unboxing here. So first, open this up. Get that out, and immediately the first impressions is that the actual handheld size of the console itself is on the box, so you get an idea how big it is. So you do have a pretty large screen, and it comes in an open flap type box sealing. So I'm going to get these stickers off the bottom. Let's get it opened up, and immediately we have the console. Some instruction manuals, put that to the side, and we have the actual thing, and it looks pretty massive in my hand. I'm just going to set this to the side, see what else we have in the box. So here we have the charging, which is very convenient. It is a USB-C, and this is a fast charging block. I'll put the specifications to the charger right here. Set this, put this back in here. And then here, we have some gaming and warranty information. Just going to leave that as is. That's about it. So now let's get to the console. Okay, so the initial impressions, first of all, is that this thing is very easy to grip onto, especially with the palm rests being curved. They don't grip into your hand and make it feel uncomfortable. Also, the screen is very large, so gaming at 1080p, because that is the resolution, is going to be beneficial, because typically high resolution screens with a small screen doesn't really make sense, but in here, this case, it does. On the back, you have something very interesting. Not only do you have the bumper triggers, so you could call them the L1, R1, L2, R2, if you're coming from the Xbox or the PS5 era, but you also have these triggers on the back. So these allow you to map extra buttons for your liking on any game that you like, which is very convenient. The back side of the plate is actually very, very cool. You have this almost RGB-like LED strip. It's actually a metallic strip that runs, and this is very common in Asus products. And back here, you actually have a very cool pattern of vents. So this is very well ventilated, as you would need to with the specifications it's running. On the side here, or at the top, you also have more vents running along. And if you look closely, you can actually see fins. So this is a very, very comprehensive cooling system. On the top here, you have the power button. You also have the volume buttons. And then here you have a USB-C. So this is what you would use to either plug in a controller, because you are allowed and able to plug in additional controllers to play video games, as well as use it to charge. And then here you have a micro SD card to expand storage. So you're not restricted to the 512 gigabytes this comes with. And of course you have a headphone jack, which is actually phenomenal. Flipping it on this side, you have the standard analog and left and right analog sticks. If you're coming from Xbox, this is a common setup. PS5, you'd have the analog sticks better together, but this is actually quite comfortable. Just the ergonomics of this is very, very good. And then you have the A, B, Y, X buttons. And the good thing about this is from based on where you're grabbing it from your palm, they're not too far away. So even if you have small hands, you're easily able to grip onto this as well as hit all the buttons as well as grab the triggers on the back. So let's get this thing started and see what it looks like. So pretty cool that the RGB lights are along the analog sticks, and I'm assuming there is a way to turn this off if you're not a fan of RGB. And the first thing you'll notice is this is not a Linux-based device, so if you're familiar with Windows, this thing is running Windows 11, and you're going to see that in a second. So once it's booted up, it's going to ask you to set it up. So we're actually going to set this up together. And the funny thing is, I don't know if you guys can see, but there is actually a cursor in here. So this is actually running a stock Windows 11. This is not the mobile version, which is actually quite funny. Of course, just like Windows, you can't escape updates on this device either. So this is a gaming device, but the funny thing is this comes equipped with Microsoft Outlook, Edge, and Microsoft Teams. And I don't exactly know why that is. So in terms of bloatware right off the bat, this is not like the Steam Deck. You are going to have to deal with standard Windows 11 apps running on it. I don't know why Asus didn't use a particular version of Windows where this didn't need to happen, but you will have a lot of space taken up by these apps, so a heads up on that. So as I was talking about bloatware before, as you're trying to set this thing up, you're going to be granted with a free trial for Microsoft 365. We're just going to decline that. So this is the home page you're granted with when you set it up. It is exactly what you would expect from a Windows 11 device. You have the exact thing you would see on a computer on this, which I believe is kind of ridiculous. You want to be able to game almost immediately with any gaming device you set up. You don't want to have to jump through the same hoops as you would through a PC. But on the flip side, you do get further modifications, which you probably wouldn't get with a restricted boot OS like a Nintendo Switch or another standard handheld device. So there are some benefits to this. So just as I was talking, Asus's base app, the Armoury Crate, actually loaded up, and then you do have an option of running this as the system startup. So this app will open up the moment you launch this device. I recommend this to 95% of people that get this device that want to just launch games from within this app. Or if you're a veteran Microsoft user and you want to use other third-party apps, I would probably keep this option disabled and run the standard Windows 11 OS and go from there. But let's get this thing started. So now that we're loaded with Game Pass, an interesting thing here is in order to actually navigate most menus that aren't the base Armoury Crate, the D-pad and the analog sticks actually don't work. So what you have to do is you actually have a cursor on the screen, which is controlled via the right analog stick, or you can actually touch by clicking on the button. So now that we finally got the Game Pass installed, I got EA's app that needed to install some of the EA supported titles. The biggest hurdle is actually installing the initial apps like Game Pass, Steam, EA, Ubisoft Connect, etc., etc. Once those are done, downloading the games, finding them is relatively easy. So right now we're just downloading. I'm going to try and play FIFA 23 here. It's about 47 gigabytes. So it is the full PC version that you will be playing on the Asus ROG. So once this is downloading, I'm going to go through some of the gameplay and I'll show you guys how the gameplay works also with the extra mapping buttons on the side.